Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday evening introduction to LifeWave and X39. I'm your co-host, Robin Blank-Mascari, along with Gregory, and we're here every Tuesday night to share a very special company with a very unique technology that is changing lives all over the world. What we're going to do tonight is a brief introduction to the company, the technology, our founder inventor, and then we introduce our guests. And tonight we have a very special guest, Anne Moreau, and every week we have one of our wonderful practitioners. We are blessed to have thousands of amazing practitioners that love what we have to offer. And then it's your turn. So if you have stories to share, questions, please put them in the Q&A, and remember to stay compliant. Symptoms only, no naming of those things, those dis-ease states. And we're going to get things started. And then I do want to do a special welcome for those of you that are brand new. This call is a wonderful welcome for an introduction for people who are looking at LifeWave for the first time. So a special warm welcome. The call isn't very long. You might want to have a notepad ready, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Gregory.
Great. Well, thanks, Robin. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And here we go. And we'll get this show on the road. And we're going to talk about activating your stem cells tonight. Very exciting information. And before we do, I want to share with you a personal aha I had a number of years ago. I finally figured out what I want to be when I get older, younger. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. And, along that line, I'd like to ask you a personal question before we get started. If anything were possible, what is one thing you'd choose to experience differently in your health or in someone's health that you love and care for? And what kind of difference would that make for you or for them? Health is the greatest wealth, and we're going to talk on how to increase both of those tonight. But before we get started, I do want to make note that our products are not designed or intended to heal, treat, or diagnose any disease. They do, however, help our bodies get back into a much more healthy, regenerative mode, and many times wonderful things begin to happen. So let's talk about the stem cell revolution, because we believe everyone wants to look, feel, perform, and live younger. And we believe stem cells are the key because they're a vital part of our immune system that helps to repair and regenerate damaged cells in all of our organs, glands, bones, muscles, all of our tissue, all throughout our body. Now, here's the problem. The older we get, the less stem cells we have, the less active they are. And by age 60, only a small percentage remain active. And the fewer stem cells we have, the faster we age and the slower we heal. And so you're probably thinking, what about stem cell injections? And they become quite popular, but you know what? They're quite expensive too. They can be painful, risky, controversial. And you know what? There's no guaranteed results. You could spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars with limited results. Well, we've got some good news for you here today, because you can look, feel, perform, and live younger with a historic breakthrough in stem cell activation. It's a new wearable technology in patch form. It's affordable, it's safe, it's non-invasive, it's drug-free. It's a patented form of phototherapy, which uses very specific frequencies of light to increase and improve stem cell activity. This is the brainchild of our founder and CEO, David Schmidt, who's not only a brilliant scientist and researcher. David is also a genius inventor with over 130 patents and patent pendings. And he's been on the leading edge of phototherapy research and science for over 20 years. David's already conducted over 80 clinical studies proving the efficacy of the LifeWave phototherapy products and technology, and many more studies are always in the works. It's a very solid science-based company. In fact, it's a 17-year-old advanced technology company. It started back in 2004 when it was based on an energy-enhancing technology that David developed for Navy SEALs to help them increase their strength, their stamina, and performance without drugs, stimulants, or caffeine. The technology was determined to be so effective, it's now used by world-class athletes around the world in almost every sport. We now have corporate headquarters and laboratory and manufacturing diversified between California, Utah, and Ireland, and global distribution to over 75 countries from 15 global distribution centers. Now, the word certainly is getting out about LifeWave, and our patches are now used by pro and amateur athletes around the world in almost every sport. And the media is beginning to notice, and you know what? You might too, is you look at some of your favorite athletes and you see this auspicious little white patches on their body. That's LifeWave. That's our technology. So let's discuss briefly how this amazing technology works. And it's based on a type of light therapy called photobiomodulation. And LifeWave patches contain very specific combinations of organic materials and nanocrystals. And when they are applied or near the body, they're activated by our body heat. And they then begin to emit very specific wavelengths of light, which stimulate very targeted and beneficial biochemical responses in our body. This is known as photobiomodulation, and this is the basis of our LifeWave phototherapy products and technology. Now, it's been a well-recognized and proven scientific principle that specific frequencies of light can cause very specific changes within the body. And for example, when we go out in the sun, a specific frequency of light causes our body to make vitamin D. We don't get a vitamin D download from the sun, but we do get a download of a light frequency that stimulates the production of vitamin D in our body. And likewise, another frequency of light, ultraviolet, UV, cause our body to make melanin, the chemical that gives us a suntan. Well, LifeWave's patented technology is based on this same rock-solid, well-recognized scientific principle. Our focus for the last 14 years has been in the field of anti-aging and regenerative science. And I'm happy to tell you, in January of 2019, a little over 3 years ago, we released to the global market the LifeWave X39 stem cell activation patch, which truly is a historic and affordable breakthrough in stem cell activation. Some are calling it the holy grail of anti-aging, regenerative, and restorative science. And we're actually doing what the multi-billion-dollar companies and big pharma have not been able to do, which X39 activates a very specific copper peptide in our body that activates our body's own stem cells, while also altering gene expression of over 4,000 genes towards a younger and more vibrant you. So this truly is a game changer, and it's a true breakthrough. And our founder and inventor, David Schmidt, says this is my greatest achievement yet, with an emphasis on yet, because David spends a lot more time in the laboratory than he does in the office. So yes, we have patents. Yes, we have clinical studies. Yes, we have field results proving that X39 is actually turning back our biological clock, helping people to look, feel, perform, and live younger. And for us baby boomers, this is very exciting news. So that was my little intro, Robin. And I'm going to turn the rest of the call back over to you and Ann Moreau.
Great. Thank you, Gregory. That was wonderful. And I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope some of you took notes. That's a beautiful, brief intro of this amazing company, technology, and our founder. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our special guest this evening, one of our lovely practitioners, a very wise woman. She's been a nurse for a very long time. She's worked in hospitals and schools. Let's see, you worked in hospitals for 30 years, a nurse for 45 years. I can't believe you're that old. You look so good, and certified in nutrition also. And, she has a passion for helping people, live a healthy and wonderful life. And Ann's the owner of Proactive Health with Ann. And so I want to introduce everyone to Ann Moreau. Good evening.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
I love having
wonderful
you.
Compliments.
I love having you. It's, I love that I get to learn so much from everyone in our team. It's a gift to keep learning and growing. So Ann, as a nurse, as a nutritionist, as someone who's really committed to helping people look and feel and perform better, what is it that got you excited and interested in checking out LifeWave?
Well, I was really looking for something pretty innovative. So for me, it was what is out there that is different, that's innovative, that works. And I was hearing amazing stuff about LifeWave. And then I finally decided to investigate. Of course, I'm one of the science people, Robin. So I had to look everything up. I had to find all the clinical studies, read a lot of those studies. And I finally said, okay, the only way to know is to put this on my own body. So I did. I used the X39 and I noticed immediately very, very deep sleep that very first night. But that was all that I noticed. I didn't notice a whole lot after that. Weeks went by and I didn't really notice anything. And then my son came over and he had had an issue with getting something in his eye the night before. He's a glass blower. And I said, yeah, I'm hearing some great stuff about this X39. It's supposed to be really good for wound healing. It's supposed to be good for quick, so quick recovery. Why don't we try it? And he said, I'm open. So I stuck it on his C7, the back of his neck, and he hung around for about 20, 30 minutes. And when he left, before all of this, his eye was burning. It was red. He said he was up all night long. He had no clue how he was going to stay, with the eye open working all day. And he said he had a really full day. So at, like 20, 30 minutes later, he looked over at both of us and said, it is totally gone. No burning, no pain, none of that. And that was my first aha. I kind of went, wow, this is what they said would happen. So to experience it really kind of raises that belief system, right? And then I've had several other experiences miracle stories over the years. So it's been very exciting being part of this. But my most recent change has been that my blood pressure had been running, 140. And I had tried a lot of different things with nutrition, and it just wasn't changing after 2 years. And, I understood that X39 was really beneficial, not only for overall health, it does a whole lot of stuff, inflammation, helps with glutathione. I mean, it just does a whole lot of things. And, months later, it took months, it didn't happen overnight. I went back for a blood pressure check and I started to see my blood pressure drop to 130. And I thought, okay, this is good. And most recently, a year and a half later, I went back and my blood pressure was 115/70. So it was like, wow.
Perfect.
Yeah, very exciting. I love
So
it.
I love it. I love that we get to say wow all the time and know that we're going to hear miracle stories every day. How fun is that? So
Lots.
for people that are new to stem cells, why is this such an incredible product that, is available for the masses?
Well, you heard Gregory talk about how controversial stem cell, procedures are. And so people are looking for something, very different, which is what we have, is that it helps us activate GHK-Cu, which then activates our own stem cells. Imagine activating your own stem cells, right? There's no issues there. It's your own stem cells. And just so people understand, where do stem cells come from? It truly is where you all begin, right? When we first started in as an embryo, those are stem cells, and the stem cells create and differentiate to different organs, and we become little human beings. And we have a lot of stem cells when we're 20, and then it starts to decline at 25, 30, our stem cells are declining. And by the time we reach 50, maybe 50% of those stem cells are still around. By the time we're 60, a lot less. And by the time we're 70, hardly any are being produced. So it's really amazing, innovative technology to be able to have this GHK-Cu peptide be activated to activate our own stem cells and really feel the benefit of that over time.
Oh, thank you so much, because there are so many things that copper peptide does. And so we invite people to do your own research, like Ann said, in your favorite search engine on GHK-Cu. And I did write it in the chat so people can access that. So Ann, who's this product for and who isn't it for?
It's for everybody. It's for ages 2 to 100, 110 if you want. The issue with children, I mean, I use it with my grandkids all the time, is you want to be able, and David talks about this, you want to be able to have the child be able to tell you, if they're feeling anything with the patches, right? And if you're under 2, that ability to communicate isn't going to be there. So as they get a little bit older, they're able to tell you if, they're having any, and when I say issues, what I'm talking about is, is the patch maybe giving them a headache? Because sometimes you get a little headache if you raise your glutathione levels, which, causes a detox reaction. So you need to drink a little bit more water to flush the toxins out. And little babies and children can't do that. They're not able to tell you. Would I use it on an infant if I had one of my grandkids sick? I probably would. I'd be watching them very closely, however, paying close attention, making sure they're drinking, that kind of stuff. But certainly it's for everyone. The only people it's not for, Robin, is for someone who's had an organ transplant that are on anti-rejection meds, because what we're doing is activating stem cells. We're activating new things, and we don't and it also is improving the immune system. And what we're doing with anti-rejection meds is we're like making sure the immune system is not activated. We want to quiet that immune system down, so it does the opposite of what people who have organ transplants are doing with the anti-rejection meds. Chemo is the same thing, because if you're talking to anyone that is on drugs, then what's happening is that you're damaging all cells. We don't want antioxidants when you're giving chemo drugs, because antioxidants stop cell damage. So that's the opposite of what we're doing with the stem cell patches. So those are the only 2 times that we would say. I mean, what I love about these patches is I've been a nurse a long time, and anyone who's taking meds, I never worry about that. I used to do supplements with clients, and I still do, and I'm a little bit more careful. But with the patches, we don't have to worry about that. They're non-transdermal. They don't enter the body. It's just an amazing, amazing technology. Works so darn well. And I mean, I just got off the phone tonight with a lady who said to me, Anne, I have had so many issues over the past 2 years, with my mood. She had a loss in her family. I think it was a brother that she lost. It was a very difficult time for her. She had aches and pains all over. She was going to see her physician. They were telling her she had this or that, all kinds of diagnoses. And she said, I thought for a while, I had a condition called fibro. And she said, I use this X39 patch. It's all gone, she said, all of it. And she said, I have this sense of just well-being. And I'm like, I feel like I love life. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. She was beyond excited about the whole technology, and she wants to learn more. She's so excited about it.
Isn't that, it's just such a gift to all of us that we can share something with people that's safe, natural, affordable, and more importantly, it works. And the fact that there's no contraindications, nothing's going in the body, it's so beautiful. Thank you for that story is, and giving people hope. How wonderful is that? And
Absolutely.
that's what we get to hear all the time. So how long does it take to notice something with this with technology?
That is different for everybody. I mean, I didn't notice it right away, right? It took me months. And there are things that I've noticed over the past year and a half, it'll be 2 years in August that I've been using the patches. Things like the brown spots fading, my the creases, the wrinkles, disappearing, just a lot of beautiful changes that I've noticed over the past year and a half. So, but it is different for everybody. Some people feel it instantly. I mean, they'll say to you, you put it on and they'll say, wow, I noticed something, right? That wasn't me. Other people, you'll put it on and it's 24 hours later. Other people, it's 2 weeks from now. And still others, it can be, 60 to 90 days. And we tell people, give it the 60 to 90 day period to really know if these patches are going to do what they say. They will do what they say they're going to do. We know you do not feel your stem cells being eliminated over time. You don't feel that. but we know that over time, this stem cell activation is occurring. You're increasing your great stem cells. Everything is changing. I love what David says about cell coherence. And a lot of people don't understand what that means, but I want to kind of give you an example of what he's talking about. He's talking about if somebody's a writer and they're writing a sentence, or they're writing it and they want it to be smooth and logical, that's coherence. But when you have the reader not be able to, it loses the main point. When it's all over the place, you lose the main point. That's what happens with cell-to-cell communication. And that's what all the patches do in LifeWave. They will maintain cell coherence. It's amazing that they do that. And it restores all these genes to a healthier, younger state. So cool. It just is so cool.
I love it. And so the answer, as you said in the beginning, everyone's different, and it could happen immediately and it could take time. And so we do what Ann just said, is give it 60 to 90 days, because and then to realize that it's cumulative and it gets better and better over time. Like Ann was saying, it took her a while to get her blood pressure handled, but it did. And so things, just notice the quality of life just continues to improve. And we do have a health tracker that we recommend everyone use when you're first getting started, to get a baseline, because sometimes when things go away, we forget we had them. And so it's just good to, track it over time for your first 90 days. So what was my next question?
I want to talk about hydration.
Oh, well, you actually, exactly. I said,
hydration is very important, because what we need to, most of us are dehydrated in the first place. Americans don't drink enough. We don't get enough of our minerals for our nutrients. So drinking is very important with the patches as well. Remember that, as the GHK-2 peptide goes up and the stem cells are activated and glutathione levels are elevated. And I just want to talk a little bit about glutathione, because many people don't know what that is. And I think it's important to talk about what that is. Glutathione is one of your master intracellular antioxidants. And we mentioned antioxidants a little while ago. Antioxidants stop cell damage. They're very important. You get antioxidants as well from, your dark green, leafy greens and your fruits and vegetables. In particular, your dark berries compounds have a lot of antioxidant benefits. But glutathione, which is an intracellular ability to raise your antioxidant level in the body, X39 does that by 30%. But in addition to that, it also plays a role in detox. So if you're raising glutathione levels, for some individuals, I have noticed that they do get a headache, or they feel a little nauseous when they first start using X39. And so it's about flushing the toxins, drinking more water to flush those toxins out. And I often will tell people, if it's uncomfortable, remove it. You can just remove the patch, drink a lot of water, let that, flush out. And then you can, put it back on, or you can go slower with the patch. Sometimes I have people wear it for 8 hours instead of 12 hours. Generally speaking, we encourage 12 hours on, 12 hours off. But if you're having some of these symptoms, then go a little slower. Maybe put 4 hours the first day, go to 6 hours, go to 8 until you can move up to the full 12 hours. And again, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And the reason for us to only wear it for 12 hours and give the body a break is what they call attenuation, which is your body doesn't recognize the signal. So it's important to remove it, because if it's kind of like the explanation that I have gotten before is, if you're tapping your hand all the time, constantly, after a while, the brain doesn't recognize that signal, right? So if you keep a patch on, the signal doesn't get recognized. The brain forgets that signal. So you remove it, put it back on the next day, and that signal will be activated. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't wear one patch during the day and a different one at night. It's a different signal. But again, the one at night is again 12 hours and then remove.
Well, you just answered the question I always ask, which is, what are the optimal conditions to get the best results? So 12 hours on, 12 hours off, hydration. And can I add one more?
Sure,
Consistency.
absolutely.
You got to do it regularly. And, we're all human and we forget. We have some people that use this and they set alarms for 12 hours, 7 and 7, 8 and 8, 9 and 9, whatever is convenient for your lifestyle. And it's okay if you're never going to hurt yourself if you leave it on or forget about it. If you leave it on for 24 hours, give your body a break and then start again. So are you ready for some questions?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Oh.
so I just want everyone to know I'm only asking questions that are in the Q&A. So if you put them in the chat, I'm not going to get to them. So if you want them asked, that's a clue. Okay, Glenn says, Miss Ann Moreau, I woke up this morning with swelling around my knee. It's hard to walk and running a slight temperature. What would you recommend to help the swelling and pain?
Because of pain, usually we always say X30. Some people will put the X39 right on the knee and will get benefits like right away. I mean, it's always you start with X39. But when we're talking pain, the patch that we often use for pain is Ice Wave. So what we do with the Ice Wave patch, it is a 2-patch system. There's one patch that's positive, one's negative. So you get a positive, negative charge that communicate. So you would put the tan one on one side of your knee, or maybe on the most painful area of the knee. And you put the other one on the opposite side of that, or you can as well, we call it the clock method, where you go around the tan patch and figure out where you're gonna get best relief. But oftentimes people will get relief from putting the tan on one side and the white on the opposite side, so that the patches are communicating and allowing that conductivity to occur, that there might be some block there where the conductivity's been affected. So we want things to move in there so we can heal and repair the area. Sometimes I've heard people say that they've used glutathione on one side of the knee and Eon on the other, and that's worked for them. So you have to figure out what's going to work for you and play with the patches, because it's different for everyone. We don't know where your conductivity is not occurring. Where is it blocked? So it's about playing with the patches and trying different placements.
Beautiful, thank you. And Carolee's question is kind of related to what you shared about yourself earlier. What patches would be best when there is stress causing excess pressure in the veins and elevated blood pressure?
Yeah, always X39, right? But the other one that I really like to use with this issue is X49. The combination of the two, and the reason for that is that the X49 also helps with endothelial tissue. And so what are we talking about? We're talking about vascular endothelial tissue. And we know that X39 and X49 combination work really well together. And I added that one in January of this year. And that's when I saw the nice change occur.
Beautiful, beautiful. It's our newest product. It just came out at the end of January, and we're seeing fabulous things happen in many dimensions. It also protects from the EMFs and increases muscle and bone density. So there's a lot of different benefits, which are very exciting.
Increases fat burning, just so much it does, right?
It's so exciting. So and it comes together with X39 and what they call a performance bundle, so people can get a little discount on that. Great, thank you so much. Shannon wants to know, he says a close friend was recently diagnosed with a condition in her breast tissue. What would you recommend?
Well, always X39, always. So you always want to start with X39. I mean, I do the X39 initially, but the other one is Eon. So for me, Eon is huge. And because here's what you always want to think about, right? Whenever there is a medical condition, and people name diagnoses, I really don't care. Every condition deals with inflammation. We're talking inflammation. So if we're talking inflammation, we know X39 reduces inflammation. We also know that Eon plays a role in that area as well. And I know there's you have a powerful story, Robin, about one of our doctors who actually dropped some Eon on somebody's chest. What happened?
Well, there's someone who had some actually blood clots in their lung, and Ian was brand new, and they were having a sonogram. And during the sonogram, the patch was very new, and her husband was holding the Eon over the lung tissue, and they actually watched the clots dissolve.
It's amazing.
It's
a miracle story for sure.
Yeah. It's a great story, and they even have proof of it. All the patches do more than we say. What we talk about is what we have clinical proof for, and that's why these stories are so valuable, because it does so much more. Okay, let's go to Christy Grace. And Christy says a client is getting bumps on their skin when they apply the patch, X3949 and carnosine. She's concerned. What would you recommend?
Put it on the clothes. There is no reason why you can't put those patches on the clothes. They are activated within 3 to 6 inches from the body. Your infrared heat activates those patches. So yes, you can put those on the clothes if it's irritating the skin.
Okay, great. Which is like amazing that it works through the clothes. And to remember, it's activated when it's 3 inches from your body. And so you don't even need to touch it, and it works. Okay, yeah. Kay Heiser says, my son thinks a good diet is all that's necessary for good health. What should I tell him? I love that.
That's a great question. And he's not far from the truth. You do need to have a good diet, but it's a lot more than that, right? You need to have a good diet. You need to exercise. You need to have good sleep. You need to hydrate and drink lots of fluid. And wow, when you can add these patches, it can be amazing. We're talking, this is about age reversal. That's what we're talking about here. That's a little different than, staying healthy and well. This is about creating a body that can have a younger, healthier state as we're aging. That is very exciting technology. And I think that even more exciting is that, David says this all the time, the future is bright. He's got a lot more coming. So I can't wait. I can't wait to hear all that he's creating. He's an amazing, amazing genius of a scientist.
We are so blessed. And every time we listen to him, we get to learn so much too. And absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So Andrea's saying, I am on multiple medications and I take insulin. Does this interact with medications?
It does not. None of those medications except, again, remember, anti-rejection meds and chemo. But all of the other ones do not, it does not interact with them.
Okay. So Franz, thank you for that. Francine says, I have a customer using X39 for wound healing. She had a knee surgery due to bone on bone. Wound became infected and she had to have a second surgery to clean out the wound and add a wound vac. She is sleeping in a recliner and now has a sore between her buttocks. Where would be the best placement for X39, and is X39 enough?
I would say you want to put X39 closest to the area where the wound is. If she must be wearing underwear, she could stick that right on top of the underwear where that wound is. And that will, we know that X39 is going to work any place in the midline. So we usually use the C7 area behind the neck and below the belly button. But with wounds, you can put them right on them, like over the dressings or over the underwear. Great place to put it. What other patch would I use? Glutathione. I always consider glutathione when we're talking infection, because glutathione has an amazing ability to stop the damage and to get rid of whatever, it's going to detox. It's going to get rid of things that are toxic in the body. So that's why you want to use that patch. It's a very important patch. And it's going to be critically important to hydrate and drink and flush those toxins as well.
Beautiful. And doesn't glutathione also enhance the immune system that'll help fight the infection?
Both X39 and glutathione do.
Beautiful.
So imagine the combination. Yes.
It's a good one. Okay, Heidi, is a person who wears a pacemaker able to wear X39?
Yes, there is no problem with wearing X39 with a pacemaker at all.
Isn't that great? Okay, that we just love that it's available for that too. Okay, Diana's asking, what would you recommend for sciatica, sciatic nerve pain, where the pain is in the lower back and completely down the back of the leg?
Yeah, well, I had a gentleman knock on my door here when we first, he's a cabinet maker, and he had that very issue, the sciatic pain. And always you want to use X39 on the back of the neck, but ice wave is going to be important in this case because, boy, sciatica is very painful. And what happens with sciatica is that, in that triangular space that we have in the hip area, things get kind of swollen in there and tight, and it's hard to release that. So you put the tan patch from Ice Wave right in the most painful area, and you're going to want to take the other patch and move down that leg. You might want to go below the knee, below that joint, and try putting it there. I know for me, the gentleman that I worked with, you have to play with this. I don't know where you're going to get best relief. So you're going to want to play with this. And the gentleman that I worked with, I ended up putting another set under his feet, would you believe, to get results, because he had a set on the painful area and one below the knee. And I didn't get I got he went from like a 10 plus to a 4, but I wanted better relief. I then added the Eon patch near that hip area where it was hurting so bad. And it went down to a 2, but it wasn't, still I wanted better. So I ended up putting energy enhancers under his feet because I thought, okay, I've heard several docs talk about use the energy enhancers to move that energy, and then the other patches are going to work better. And his foot was so swollen that I put one more Eon right between his big toe and second toe. And he went down to a 0. It took us about 30 minutes to get to that point. But we got him there. And 2 days later, he called me and he said, I can't believe nothing else has worked. And this has.
It's phenomenal. And we've been able to get people off some serious meds with these natural patches, which is exciting. Okay, we have time for just a few more. Diana's asking a suggestion on what patch to use to lower blood sugar.
Oh, good question. So obviously we don't claim to lower blood sugar, but we do help with carb cravings. So the SP6 is wonderful for carb cravings. When you get the SP6, again, you're going to want to see what area you can look up where to patch. And when you get your little booklet, it says in the back of the booklet. And I find that I move it around because I use that one. And I've had blood sugar management issues. So I find that I will sometimes use it below the knee, 4 fingers below the knee on the outside aspect of my left leg. And sometimes that works really well. And then I move it around and I put it on the other side. There's other placements that you can use. And I find that I'm fuller faster and I don't crave as much. So give that a try. You can use that patch for all kinds of addictions, right? Sugar addiction, carb addiction, gambling addiction, whatever. A lot of our practitioners I work with have said they've had tremendous results using SP6 with those kinds of issues.
Beautiful, beautiful. I heard a story recently. A woman put on SP6 and one day she quit smoking.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Craving was gone. I know, it's fun.
I had a client who was addicted to soda. She could not get off that soda, and the physician had talked with her and said, you've got to get off of this. She had so much inflammation. And so he happened to see her. He had come out, it was during that COVID period. So he had come out to the car and he saw her bottle and he said, I thought you were working on that. And she said to me, I just can't stop drinking it. And SP6 was what got her off of that. It was simply, I mean, like within a 30-day period, she said to me, it's the first time that I've ever been able to do this. And she went to see her ear doctor a few months later, and he looked in her ear and he said, there's no swelling in there. He couldn't believe it. I mean, because she had obviously given up all that sugar that was causing the inflammation, and we had helped her with that carb craving. You know, everything started to improve health-wise as well.
Beautiful. If food is poison or food is medicine, and we've got to do
Exactly.
our part. We have to do our part. So sugar can be wicked for our health. Okay, finally, Kathy wants to know, would glutathione help with an infection in the urinary system?
I would definitely use it, you know, close to the bladder, and put it right, you know, way down close to the pubic area, on right in that area, and drink lots and lots of water so you can flush for sure. And I often recommend that you get unsweetened cranberry juice as well. That often will work very well for a lot of the clients that I work with. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, my dear. You shared so many great stories. I mean, when you have an experience like Anna's sharing with all these stories, it's really valuable to share with other people. So thank you for this wonderful evening, and thank you all for joining us tonight. And if you're a guest tonight, please get back to the person who invited you. We have a wonderful customer program, and if you're the kind of person that likes to share, I mean, I shifted from being a customer and I couldn't not share because of what I went through, but then I actually felt a sense of responsibility to let people know that this technology that's so safe and natural and affordable can make such a huge difference for people. So please get
Thank
back.
you, Robin, for having me, and thank you for all that you do as well.
Oh,
Totally love you.
I love you too. And we just have this beautiful community, and we invite anyone to come join us, get started. The product does come with a 30-day risk-free guarantee, and the key is to get started. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And thank you, Gregory, for your great presentation as always. And we're going to say good night. Bye, everybody.